All right, today's the 21st of March. It's about almost 2 o'clock in the middle of the day. It's supposed to get up to 62 today. It was like 56 or 58 when I come out here. It is a little bit cool, but I need to see where these hives are at. The weather forecast looking out next week or so is going to be around 57 to 62 for the next 7 or 8 days, it looks like. So we got to get in the hives. I like to get them to them when it's a little bit warmer, but I got to see where they're at. It's approaching March. For me in Kentucky, March is a month for rotating, and April's a month for splitting. And I'll split all the way up till April 15th, and then I try to have one deep full of bees and a drawn out comb box above it, and that's where I need them to make honey. So I can take splits and either sell them or keep them. This year I'm going to keep them, trying to get the numbers up, but got to see where the hives are at, got to see what they're doing, got to get into them. So it's a good sunny day. It is a little breezy, but we got trees here to our west and it's blocking off the breeze, so it's pretty warm standing in the sun, so I think we'll be good. So I'll be right back. All right, this one's marked very heavy on 3-7. Lid stuck down, so that's good. I've checked the shallow ones, the single deeps, but not the double deeps, to see where they're at. They should be building up enough to split. The bottom box is full, and this top box should be approaching full. Which it is. It looks pretty good. So all these bees in this top box will be bees that I'll use for a split. I'm gonna be a little cranky because it's a little bit cool. All right, a little bit of bird comb between them, but not too bad. But a good full box in the bottom. Hopefully you can see that. Get off, turd. All right, so good full box. We're gonna smoke them down a little bit. They're, like I said, they're a little bit snotty because it's cool out and there's a lot of them still in the hive. I just want to make sure they're not running out of room. I still got plenty of room there. Good pollen frame here. Honey on that side and pollen on the other side. So they are quickly approaching a splitting stage. I'll be able to tell by this brood. Just a ton of bees in here. This is definitely a hive that'll have to be split. Calm down. They've got a little more room, but not much. Good gosh. I'll close them up because they ain't liking us being in here. All gonna be like that. It might be a short inspection period. All right, this one here says light. Very light. Bees are mostly in the bottom. Let's see if they moved up any. Really need them to fill out this bottom before they worry about filling out the top. I got too much space on there now. That's why them hive beetles are in there. It's only 2 frames in this top that had anything on it to really mount to anything. So we're just going to take it off. There's a pollen frame in here that I feel like is getting in their way. They're bringing in plenty of pollen right now. This one's got pollen in it too, and then bees. So we're going to put that one back on it. We're going to take this one off. You got to be very careful this time of year about getting pollen bound, because they'll go to that pollen and just stop. Yeah, we're taking that frame out. Doesn't have bees on it. We got plenty of pollen in there without it. It's a nuisance right now for us. All right, so that's the way I want this one. Hopefully we can add this other one to another box on down the line. Some of these singles are to be getting pretty close to ready to put another box on. Let's see, I know that one, there's 2 here that's really weak. 6 frames, move pollen frame to outside. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, almost 8 frames now. They're over on the right side more than they are to the left. So I'm going to take a frame off that left side and move it over to the right. They're building up pretty good. I'm going to pull one out of the center since I got space here. They should have a bunch of brood that's about ready to hatch or emerge. There's a bunch of larvae in this one. Bunch of newbies. They look really good. All right, so we got our brood centered up, bees centered up in the center. Away from the outside, we'll put that empty frame in there to give them a little room, and we're going to go ahead and add that one we just took off on the top, because this one needs it. All right, I know that one's about dead. This one says 2 frames to fill up in a single, so they should be ready for another deep too. Oh crap, we still got a feeder on here. Feeder shim. That's what you get when you do a feeder shim and leave it on too long. No smoking bees down off of that. And then we can scrape it off. And we're just going to go ahead and add another deep to them. Alright, it's looking good, best I can tell. Sometimes it's hard to get that outside one out. Alright, it's a frame of honey toward the outside. Some empty frames, but they got nectar in them, or empty cells with a little bit of nectar. Another frame of honey. A lot of honey in this box. About got too much honey in here, more than I'd like to see. So I might move some of this honey around and give it to another hive. We'll give it to our single down here. We did. Took that top off of. So I got a good empty frame I'm going to put back in there. We'll get a little closer to the center and see what we got. I need that queen to have open cells to be laying in. Just like this one. They're filling it up with nectar too. A little bit of brood in there, but not much. So we'll leave that one. It's got a little bit of brood. I'll take another one over here. I'll take this honey frame back down there to that hive. All right, now we got two really good empty frames that the queen can come up and lay in. She's already started laying in that frame next to this. So this will really help them a lot. All right, so we're gonna close them up. All right, down here we've got some that we've had feeders on, and yeah, I'm already feeding liquid feed. As soon as they start building up that burr comb and those spacer rings, feeder shims, I switch to liquid feed. That's when I do it. Yeah, the nights are cool, but I think they'll be fine. And it really helps them a lot to get some liquid feed in there. All right, this in 311 had frames of brood and frame of honey from Nuke. Oh, you added a frame of brood and frame of honey from Nuke. They're expanding nicely. Let's see what we got. That's a frame of pollen. Probably not needed. Brood and larva and pollen. Eggs. I'll take that frame of pollen out to give her more room to expand. And with the way they're looking, I'm going to assume that they got full frames of brood. One frame of brood will hatch out and be 3 frames of bees. So they're going to run out of room really quick. I'm going to put a frame that they can use and take out that frame of pollen. And then I'm going to add another box. All right, here's a frame they can use a lot better. It's just an empty frame of drawn comb. They'll be able to do a lot more with this than they're able to do with that pollen blocking them up. Now let me get another box. So they're progressing nicely. Alright, this one says 5 frames needs division board feeder, but they're pretty heavy now. I'm gonna assume it's 5 frames in the top. Okay, they've ate all their pollen patty I give them. Another frame of pollen. And then a frame of brood. She's laying back in it when it hatches out. All kind of larvae in that one. And that's got pollen next to it. So this is a good example of when to keep a pollen frame, because it's one pollen frame right next to a frame of brood. So they actually need that one so that they can feed a brood with it. So they're looking pretty good. And they got room too. Take one frame out on this side. Alright, that's a frame of nectar they're filling up there. So they're doing good, they're progressing. And doing good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 frames now. And the top and the bottom's mostly full. So all these are way too strong to leave this way. Like I say, this is March. Yeah, was that on there? No, it was that other one. March the 21st. If we left them like this, all right, it's March 21st. Again, this is months for rotating, not the months for splitting. If we left these boxes like this with a deep full of bees in the bottom and a deep full of bees at the top, they would swarm. You can add extra room. There's different things people do to keep them from swarming. But if you just added a honey super to those, it's tempting to add a honey super thinking, well, they'll give them more room, they'll just move up and just make a lot more honey. Well, that's not the case. What's going to happen if I added a honey super to those, being that strong, is they'll start filling up, and they might start filling up one, they might even get one filled up, but they're going to swarm, and that's the only one they'll fill. My method that I've come up with over the years, and this is a tip or a secret or something that took me a long time to figure out, is that, there's a lot of people that they used to talk about, and still do, talk about counting back 6 weeks and from your honey flow and when you think it's going to be, and I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or next week, much less 6 weeks from now. So that's one way. Another way, one of the older guys taught me, was to count frames of brood. On this date, you want to have 3 frames of brood. On another date, you want to have 4 frames. And you try to equalize and make it have that many frames of brood to keep them from swarming. What I've come up with that works for me in Kentucky, we're just south, about 20 miles south of Louisville, is April 15th. What I'm looking for is 1 box full of bees. I'm taking everything off the top. If I come April 1st out here and there's 2 boxes full of bees, I'm going to take that top box and make 2 splits out of them, 2 5-frame splits if they got brood up there. If I come out here on April the 10th and they fill that box up again, I'm going to make 2 more splits out of it. But on April the 15th, I want 1 full box. My goal is 1 full box on the bottom and a empty drone comb on the top of that. That's what I do to get my splits and to keep them from swarming and for them to make a honey crop. If you can order bees and have them on the 15th and have brand new bees and then fill up 2 boxes, and April 15th, as far as I'm concerned, is the best time to get them, then surely a full 10 frame box of bees with brood in there, that 1 frame of solid brood equals 3 frames of bees, they will build up enough for me in time for the honey flow. Now, circumstances, some of them will be done, that's my goal, is to have it done on that date. Circumstances will dictate that some of them are done before that and left. Some of them, instead of having a full drawn comb, they'll have some foundation, so they'll be done a little bit earlier so they can draw out that foundation. Some of them might be done a little bit later. But the goal is to April 15th to have that configuration set and do it like that, and still make a honey crop off of that hive. So that's the goal, is to get whatever splits that they'll give you before then, and then have that full box of bees and a drawn DRAWN comb on top of that box. If they have that, they'll still make a honey crop, depending on the year and depending on the timing. And timing might be a little off, but I'm going to be a little off too, because some of them's going to get done earlier than that. Some of them's going to get done a little later. I never want to see a swarm cell. I try not to ever see a swarm cell. I try not to ever have a swarm, and I don't have very many, but I do have some. But if I see a swarm cell, to me, that's failing as a beekeeper. Yeah, you didn't do something when you needed to do it to keep that from happening. If it's been my experience, and I hear people tell me this ain't the case a lot, but it's been my experience, if I have a hive that does swarm, they don't make a honey crop. I lose part of them to the trees. Hopefully I catch them. You know, I see some people saying, well, I just want to let them swarm naturally. Well, that's fine, and you can manage however you want, but I want to see a honey crop. I want to see something from all the work that I've been doing all year long on these bees. So I don't want them to ever swarm. If they do swarm, you know, you've got swarms, whether you know it or not, you've got swarms that leave the hive and you never know it. So you don't catch all of them. It's impossible to be here 24/7 or 12/7 and catch every swarm. It just ain't going to happen. But hopefully you can catch them and make more hives, and that's fine for the next year. But another thing that really helps me a lot, it took me a long time to learn, is to look at a production colony different than a build-up colony. Because you got some of these colonies that's going to be splits and going to build up, and you got some of them that are should be production. So that's what I'm looking at. I don't want to do anything to a production colony to make it become I want to make sure my production colony produces. So I don't want to do anything. The main thing I see people doing on a production colony is they'll do a split and take out the queen and move her. To me, if I move that queen, if I split one of these 2 double deeps hives with their gonna bit split, and I happen to take the queen, neither half is gonna make honey. I've got to leave the queen in the original spot for that one to make honey. That's my production colony. I don't want to do anything to mess that up. So no matter what I have to do or how hard I have to look, or if I have to shake them all below an excluder, I want that to be a production colony and stay a production colony. My splits are not production. I'm not expecting any production out of them. So you got to keep that in mind. I've spent years hoping I didn't get the queen and getting the queen and messing up a year's production on one hive, which is a 5-gallon bucket of honey that you lost by doing that. So your management decisions matter. And I've been doing this a long time, and I just haven't seen hives that swarm make honey. Yeah, they might make some, but they won't make near as much as if they didn't swarm. So that's the way I do it. That's what keeps me making honey. That's what differentiates the hives, is production and build up for next year. And I keep that in mind and try to make sure that those production hives make honey. So that's a tip for you. Took me a long time to learn that. I'm going to go ahead and go down through here and finish this up. It's warmed up now pretty good. Got some other stuff I got to do. So I'm going to finish up checking this yard. I may get out to the middle yard today. I may not. But I've got to get these hives checked. But I appreciate you watching. I hope you got something out of the video. God bless you all, and I'll see you in the next video.